Good morning, Firebird Nation. I'm Brendan Boudelier.
And I'm AJ Olzak.
And welcome back to another episode of the Firebird Morning News.
So there's a lot to get into today. We'll talk about the school store, senior retreat, the Ireland exchange trip, which there's a meeting for tonight, and a bunch more.
Before we jump into it, we just want to bring up something that a group of juniors are doing right now. For Breast Cancer Awareness Month, they are selling pink sweatshirts with our Holy Ghost logo on the front, and on the back it says "Fight for a Cure." This Friday is going to be the last day that they'll be selling them. They're $35. You can just go onto Schoology. There'll be a link on Schoology. You fill out your name and your form of payment, and I think in about 3 weeks they'll get the shipment in, and you'll be able to get your sweatshirts. So definitely get your sweatshirts. They're super cool. I know I'll be getting some.
And all the money goes to raising awareness, right?
Yeah, to Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Awesome.
Yep.
All right, so we're going to take a look. Tomorrow we have a Mass, which will be celebrating the feast day. And we'll look at SGA's installation of officers. So everyone who was elected, I think sophomores, juniors, and seniors. I think freshmen still have yet to vote.
Yeah, freshmen I think still have their elections, which if you were a freshman, the forms were due last week. So coming up this week, you'll be able to, we'll give more information about elections and voting to go on there.
So in addition to that, we have the school store. It'll be open today and Thursday as well. Thursday, not tomorrow, because we have the all-school Mass. Should be open, I believe, at lunch periods.
Yeah.
Other than that, freshmen, if you are running for SGA, we know installations tomorrow, but more information will be sent out soon regarding the actual voting and elections.
Yeah. And tomorrow's our big day, AJ. Our senior retreat.
Senior retreat. So seniors that are going, make sure to look at that link that was sent out to all of you of what you should bring, what you shouldn't bring. Be ready just to, kind of just be ready for anything. It should be a lot of fun. It should be a good experience for everyone. If you're really debating on going, once this group comes back, ask them just how it was, and I'm pretty sure they won't disappoint. If you are interested, reach out to Mr. Whartonby and try and get your name in for one of the next retreats coming up.
Yeah, I've never been. I know that you went last year and you're now a retreat leader. I'm really looking forward to it. I don't know anything. The seniors last year don't say anything, and all the leaders, your guys' mouths are shut, and Mr. Whartonby hasn't said much. I don't even know where we're going. So it's really you got to keep an open mind here, and I'm super excited. We leave tomorrow night. And we're there till Saturday, so it should be just an awesome time, great with our Holy Ghost brothers.
Yep. So there's also one other interesting thing happening tonight. It is the information meeting for the Ireland trip. So
yes.
I don't know, Ireland, man. It was
me and AJ both went on the Ireland trip last year.
Yep.
They took a group of sophomores and juniors last year.
It's like 16 of us?
16 guys. Yeah. We got to spend a week in Dublin with students from Blackrock College, and we stayed with their families, and we toured Dublin, Galway, many other cities in Ireland. We went to a soccer game.
Yep, we went to Ireland versus Lithuania with it was like 5 offsides goals, and then one in like the 96th minute.
It was very fun.
It was a good game. Saw the cliffs of Moher.
Yeah, that was unbelievable.
It was beautiful.
And then our Irish exchange students came and visited America for a week and stayed with our families, and they got to go to our prom. That was probably the highlight of the week for those boys.
I don't think that will happen this year.
No.
But sorry to the seniors last year. The Irish guys kind of slid in a little bit,
Tried to steal some dates.
Hopefully it won't happen again. But no, it was a really good experience. And
Absolutely.
if you're really wondering, like, oh, I don't want someone coming to my house, or I don't want to go live with someone random, it's not that bad.
Not at all.
First of all, like, the families there were so accommodating so nice. Like,
absolutely.
For any meals, for anything you needed, they were there at all times. I had a great experience when the Irish guys came here. There's that same sense of like I'm in someone else's home. Everyone was very nice. So check it out. Go to the information meeting.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend going to that meeting, and I would just give it a shot, hear what they have to say, ask people who went on the trip, because it really was a great experience. And we had a really great time there. And even when they were here, it was really cool to like show them. We took them to Philly and DC and show them everything.
Yeah. So now we're gonna pass things over to a senior, Brandon Fay, who gave a little interview with our religion teacher, Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Hello, I'm Brandon Fay, and today I'll be interviewing Mr. Fitzpatrick as part of a new series we're doing for the 125th anniversary of the founding of Holy Ghost Prep. Hello, Mr. Fitz.
Hey, Brandon. Good to be with you.
Thank you. So the first question I think we'd like to talk about is, can you tell us a little about the founding of Holy Ghost as an institution?
Sure. Be glad to tell you what I know. So in 1897, the Spiritans opened a minor seminary here in Cornwallis Heights, Pennsylvania. Minor seminary meaning that it was a school that was open to young men of high school age and maybe the first 2 years of college or so. After they would finish their studies here, they would then move on to a major seminary up in Connecticut. The first couple of years, things were getting off the ground, and the building that we're now sitting in still didn't even exist. If you can imagine there being farmhouses on the property, like over where the freshman soccer field is, that's kind of the environment we would have been in here, for the first couple of years until they got construction on Cornwallis Hall started probably in the very early 1900s with the construction of the center section of the building where my classroom is. Shortly thereafter followed the construction of the chapel in 1910. And in terms of the number of students we're talking about at that point, probably less than 30 young men who were here, studying with about maybe 15 priests and 7 brothers or so. And so that continued, and so did the development of the Cornwallis building. The library wing was added next. I shouldn't say the old library wing where the art studio is now was added next, and eventually the chapel was built and later enclosed sometime in the 1920s. So originally you had to enter the chapel from outside. Getting to it from inside a building like we know today, again, didn't happen until probably the early to mid 1920s. And then Holy Ghost Prep began to admit non-seminary students in the fall of 1959. So in terms of our being a high school for boys, that's a little over 60 years, that we've had non-seminary students here at school.
I see. Yeah. It's a fascinating history. And you yourself are an alumnus of Holy Ghost Prep, once was converted into a high school, as you mentioned. So can you tell us, what are some of the most significant changes that you've noticed from your time as a student up to now?
Sure. The school, in my opinion, is dramatically different from when I was here as a student from 1985 to 1989. Those of you in the sports program are very fortunate. Back then there was no ice hockey. There was no lacrosse, there was no bowling, there was no ultimate frisbee. So we certainly have added to our sports program. What you guys know as the track and varsity soccer field was a patch of trees and woods through which a cinder path wove its way, and that was kind of the course or part of the course for our cross country team during their home meets. Founders Hall was an outdoor basketball and tennis courts where we'd also have our intramural hockey games. And so intramural sports was another difference that have come and gone at various points in the school's history, not currently part of our athletic offerings. And then in terms of things like the innovation lab and computer lab, computers were just in their infancy in high schools when I was a student here. So we had very few, maybe first or second generation Commodore 64 computers, and our computer literacy class was basically learning how to type a basic program. So in terms of technology and facilities, I haven't even mentioned the Holt Center, right? That was a beer distributorship across the street for many years. So the campus has expanded, and the quality of the facilities, sport programs, and technology have all increased exponentially.
Wow. Sounds like quite the change.
Very much different, yeah. Sometimes I have to remind myself what it used to look like 30 years ago or 40 years ago, yeah.
So building off of that, so you've been part of the Holy Ghost community for quite some time now. What would you say is your favorite part of being part of this community?
My favorite part of being in the community is the relationships that teachers get to create with students and vice versa. I don't feel like there's that typical barrier that might be there in other schools. I like very much that you guys get to know about us as people and what our lives are like, and vice versa. So, and the same is true of my relationships with other faculty members. No matter who's been hired to work here, they just seem to fit in and gel, and personalities complement the school and its mission very, very well. So that's probably what I enjoy most about the day-to-day activities here at Holy Ghost. And in terms of the campus, the thing I love the most is Holy Ghost Prep in the springtime. There's nothing like seeing the flowers in bloom, and in the early evening when the rush hour traffic dies down, if you're here till 6:30 or 7 catching the end of a varsity baseball game in May, or if you're here for an evening admissions function, at 7 o'clock in May, the campus is just absolutely gorgeous and peaceful and calm, and it's a nice oasis to the crazy busyness of the rest of the world. So
that's very well put.
Thank you.
With that, thank you very much for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Hey Rob, what time is it? Okay, let's do it. So for the weather today, it's going to be mostly sunny with a high 72 and a low 52. Winds are expected to be around 13, ramping up to a whopping 22 miles per hour in the afternoon. So it's going to be a little windy coming home from practice during practice. All right. Now let's get to the weather through the rest of the week. So on Wednesday, there's going to be a high 70 and a low 52. On Thursday, there's going to be a high 68 and a low 50. And on Friday, a high 68 and a low 55. This weekend, though, fall temperatures are starting to creep in, with Saturday being a high 69 and a low 60, and Sunday with a high 70 and a low 57. So fall's coming in quick, boys. But that's all for the weather this week. I'll catch you next week.
Good morning. I'm Bobby Williams.
I'm Justin Lucas.
And welcome back to another week's segment of sports at HTP TV.
Yeah, before we get started, the soccer team has been continuing to do great things. Mm-hmm. They're currently ranked number 1 in 3A in District 1?
Yeah, something like
District
that.
District 1. I think we're in District 1. They're ranked number 1. They beat Conestoga last weekend. They're continuing to do great things. They're playing really well recently.
Yep.
And they're going to continue to do well this week.
Yeah, for sure. And starting this week off today, the varsity golf team will be taking on Devon Prep at Linfield Country Club.
And then freshman soccer takes on Upper Marion at home.
Yeah. Friday, there's another varsity cross-country meet, the Paul Short Invitational at Lehigh University. That should be pretty cool.
Yeah.
They were at Six Flags last week, right?
Yeah.
Last weekend?
Yeah, they did very well. A couple kids hit a new PR.
And varsity golf taking on EA at home, the Union League in Torresdale. So.
Yeah, and on Friday, varsity soccer and JV have a later game at 5:15 against William Penn.
Yeah, that's cool. And then the varsity and JV rowing. I think this is the first time we've announced rowing.
Yeah,
it's good
the first time.
Yeah, and the head of the Ohio regatta in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that was, I'm sure, a couple weeks ago. Mrs. Doherty posted about it. There's a mini college tour. I think it was 15 kids were allowed to go, visiting Pittsburgh, Duquesne, and I think I'm blanking, Carnegie Mellon, I think is the third school.
Good schools.
So yeah, all really good schools.
Yeah, really good schools.
And then on Saturday, 10 a.m., varsity and JV soccer have a game at Downington West.
Yeah, not a lot to do this week, but thank you for tuning in. And I'm Bobby Williams.
I'm Justin Lucas.
See ya.
Thank you, Mike, for the weather, Justin and Bobby for the sports, and Brandon for that great interview.
So, we're running a little bit tight on time here, so I'm just going to remind everyone we have mass tomorrow, mass schedule. We have this school store open today and Thursday at lunch. If anyone's interested, make sure to look and get those hoodies on Schoology.
Absolutely.
And for any seniors going on retreat, look at your email, look at everything, look at that sheet you got at our meeting. Make sure you're all packed up and bring your stuff tomorrow. Other than that, have a great day, guys. Thanks for tuning in.